Hey, what's up, my YouTube community? Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Help a brother out. All right, now, there was a caller that called into the Chantel Simone show, and she was giving her explanation as to why men are leaving the country, this new phenomenon that's known as passport bros. And let's see what she has to say.
And then when you throw in on top of that, that some of these men are balding, they're older, they have fat stomachs, they're out of shape, they're funny looking, they don't have sexual prowess. When you add that on top of can't compete in the United States, you're dealing with something unique and special. That's all I'm saying. Because they can't compete, because maybe they're not attractive, maybe they're socially awkward, maybe they're fat, maybe their penis doesn't work. I'll tell you how I know that it's pay for play and that people treat you different based on having money. Because I can see a cripple or a wheelchair ridden man in Dominican Republic with a sexy 17, 18-year-old sitting on his lap, treating him like he's the king of England. I see that. Bald men with fat, pasty white Canadians. Oh, I see some stuff. I'll be like, girl, you couldn't pay me to do that.
Can you clarify something for me, please?
That's gross.
Clarify something for me, because you said that there are a lot more women here but it's men. It's because their penis size and stuff. They can't get those women.
Well, not but in the size. It's just
like there are things why they can't get them. But the men want fit women, and 55% of black women are.
But a lot of the guys that I see walking the streets in Dominican Republic, they're not.
See, now this is a big problem, right? This is a huge problem because what happens is when you have, folks like May that try to scream the host down to silence them, that becomes problematic. And that's why you have hosts, they make sure that they're in control of their show. And when you're calling as a visitor on their show, you have to abide by their policies. You don't make your own things up as you go. It's incredibly disrespectful. It's disrespectful for the host. It's disrespectful for the show. And it's disrespectful for the audience. So you never want to do stuff like that. You want to pay attention to the subject. So let's continue.
Not fit either. They're fat and they're old and they're balding. They're unattractive. I'm telling you what I see.
I said woman. These men want fit women.
But they're not fit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. A lot of them are.
It don't matter if they're fit. I want a man who can provide. I'm not a provider. It doesn't matter. Like,
I'm just telling you that a lot of the ones that are you're not listening.
All right, we're going to focus on the question that I was trying.
So this woman appears to be very, very angry and bitter, and she's lashing out, and this is what you're seeing. She's lashing out. It's men that's to blame. It's not her, because remember, there's no accountability for women like her. She's free and clear to do whatever she wants. But don't you dare question her, because she's free to do whatever she wants. Okay? She's free to not be held to any standard or anything. You're just supposed to accept her for who she is. Even if she's disruptive, uncooperative, masculine, even if she's all of that, you're still supposed to just shut up and accept her. And if you don't, then that must mean your dick is slanted, your dick don't work, you're fat, you old, you paley, and everything else in the world. So it's this whole sign language treatment. Shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Pay attention, folks. This is really serious, because this is getting insane. It's getting out of hand, and that's why you're seeing brothers leaving this country and they're going looking for love elsewhere. They're going to other countries. And remember, when they're going to other countries, they're staying there. They're not bringing their girlfriends back. They're not bringing their new wives back, because they don't want this type of noise infringing on their life, because this is a disruption. Remember, men are simple. Men just want peace. But when we have to deal with all of this sass and masculinity, it's super unattractive for men. And men are just going to shy away from it.
Don't hang up on me again, please.
We're going to focus on the question that I'm trying to ask you, okay?
Why can't we just have a conversation instead of you trying to direct the conversation to a narrative that you...
Well, because it's her show. She's free to do that. You don't get to come into someone else's show. Again, it's incredibly rude. And this is this entitlement. It's like, no, I'm going to call you and you're going to have to do everything I say, even though it's your show and you set the stage. But I come in and I'm going to scream at you. I'm going to overtalk you. I'm going to go into rants. I'm going to change the goalposts. I'm going to do all of that because my feelings dictate more than anything else. It blows my mind. I can't believe it.
You already have.
You just said something, and I'm trying to get clarification on
Okay.
what you just said.
I'm listening.
If men want fit women, and majority of the women in America are obese, then do you think that it's because their penis small, or they need to work on themselves, or they can't talk to women, why they're not getting the relationship? Or do you think then it's just the pool is small?
I don't think there's any shortage of women. I think they can't compete for those that are fit, friendly, and beautiful.
And you're right. There is no shortage of women because remember, women outnumber men in the U.S. by millions. So you better believe there's certainly no shortage of women, but there is a shortage of men. And there is more of a shortage of decent men. And then when you start climbing that socioeconomic ladder, and then you want a man that makes a lot of money and he's around your age range and he has an education and he's this and he's that and he's 6 foot tall and, you know how to work his D and all this other stuff, you're talking about 0.000000001 whatever the hell percent of men. And those men are rare. And those men want something for who they are. They're not going to just accept all of this, okay? That's not how men operate.
They can't compete. It's kind of like one of those things when you're running a race, there's only going to be one winner. So you have all these men running towards the fit, beautiful women or whatever y'all want to call it. And it's like the ones who come in last, they miss out. They just can't compete. They can't.
So there's
That's
a
life,
there's a
honey.
smaller.
Everybody can't.
And you're 100% right. I want to ask
Everybody
you this though,
can't
because
win.
it's a
Come on
smaller,
now.
it's a
Everybody
smaller
can't win.
percentage. It's a smaller percentage of fit feminine women here in the States.
That's the
And
narrative you
these
want to
men,
run with.
these men don't want to compete.
There's a huge shortage of fit, feminine, cooperative women in the U.S. I mean, look at you're a prime example of that. What are we talking about here? You're a prime example of that. Look at how you're coming across and you think men are just supposed to be attracted to that. I mean, what? Come on.
Because as
They
you
can't
said, they
compete. They
can't
can't.
compete. So these men can't compete for the, let's say, and I don't know, but let's say the 45% of women who are fit and the 55% of women who are obese, right? There are more obese women than fit women in the States. And these men don't want to compete because the market, like there's not enough.
Okay, Chantel. That let's just say that's true. Let's just say that there's not as many, okay?
And men tend to go for the fit, beautiful women. That's what men normally go for.
Can't compete. Let's say that. And then when you throw in on top of that some of these men are balding, they're older, they have fat stomachs, they're out of shape, they're funny looking, they don't have.
And you notice how she's very, very, very incredibly focused on the type of man she doesn't want. But the man that she do want, the man that she doesn't qualify for, that's the man she's really upset with.
Sexual prowess.
Because guess what? You get what you qualify for, okay? You get what you qualify for. That's just how it is.
When you add that on top of can't compete in the United States, you're dealing with something unique and special. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I hear that. Let's talk about the men who are not fat, who are not balding. Let's say that this man is in the gym on the daily, right? So no 2% body fat. And he's like, okay, he wants a woman, but 55% of these women are obese. Is it that he can't compete for these women, or is it that the market where he's currently at, there is a lack of what he?
A lot of the women are just not qualified. They're just not qualified. And Chantel Simone makes a huge point here. You know, a lot of these women are just not there. They don't qualify for the type of man they say they want or the type of man they say they deserve.
If he could compete, he'd already have one. That's what I'm saying. If he could compete,
but then logically, right?
Boy, that passive aggressive sign language get me all the time. It's insane. They just no accountability whatsoever.
Because you have 4 degrees. You mentioned that you had 4 degrees
earlier. Let's go back to the degree thing. Let's go back. I heard you insulting my degrees. I have 4 degrees, and I have them in education because I was a teacher.
So are you still a teacher?
Let me finish. I was going to be a college professor, and that's why I got that many degrees. And
I mean, do you really need 4 degrees to be a damn college professor? All you need is a master's degree, and that should suffice to be an adjunct professor. You don't need 4 degrees to be a professor, okay? You went to school to get those 4 degrees for a reason, unless you have an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, and another master's. If you want to count that, sure. But I hope you don't have 4 bachelor's degrees, whatever. It's crazy.
I'll tell you something. A lot of men are anti degrees because guess what? A lot of men can't get degrees. They can't commit long enough. And
most men can get degrees. Most men have to get degrees. Most men dive into the elements and the complexities of this world, and they have to tackle a lot. Men generally go into STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. That's what men go into much of the time, most of the time. However, women almost guaranteed you have a degree in some form of humanities, because when given the chance, again, you're free to pick any type of degree you want. You opt for the easier of the roles. You don't go into STEM related fields. You go into the easier of the fields. I mean, take it from you. You wanted to be a professor. That's great. But that's not really a high paying position. And it's one of the easier positions.
They can't stay focused enough. So they're jealous that women have degrees. Let me
I hear you, but no, because you're going to make me miss my train of thought, and then you're going to go on and on.
I'm not making you do
That's not what
I
we're
was answering
talking
your
about.
question since
That's not what. No, but I didn't even ask my question yet. I'm
addressing
You said you have 4 degrees. You say you have 4 degrees. So I want to have this conversation with you, and you were about to be a professor. So let's talk logically, right? Like how professors will talk. Would it make logical sense for a man to stay in a country where there are less of what he wants, or go to a country where he has a lot more options? For example, say I want a black ink pen, but in America there's only like 4 black ink pens, but in Colombia there are like 100 black ink pens. Would you recommend that I stay in America and compete for the 4 black ink pens, or just go to Colombia where there are 100 black ink pens?
Great question. Let's say, let me add a little bit to that.
No. See how she can't even answer the question direct? She has to add her taste onto it. She has to add on her version. See, this is a prime example of a woman that just can't follow basic directions, and they want it their way. And major shout out to Corey Holcomb. He said it best. A woman's opinion is more important to her than keeping a man in the house. Woo!
How about the 4 ink pens cost $100 each? And when you go to the country that has 100 ink pens, they cost $1 each. So you can have so much more opportunity. And so let me tell you this. I am against the lies and the myths.
Let me tell you this.
Okay.
Wait. You did not. You did not answer my question. I don't understand what do you mean by.
I'm answering it right now. I'm adding a level to it. I said.
See, I would have stopped this shit real quick, because she's changing the goalposts. She's going into all of this other nonsense. She can't even follow basic directions. She can't compartmentalize the basic concept, the basic analogy that Chantel laid out. She has to go into all of this other nonsense.
If you
because
have 4
that's the only way
pens,
it would have to make sense for her.
That's all you have available. We're going to go with the scarcity argument, okay? And
this is a woman with 4
each.
degrees.
And let's say that man only has probably $10, okay? And I'm basing that on the fact that he can't compete, because if he could, he'd just take that $100 and go buy him one of them 4 ink pens. So he has to go to a country where they have 100 ink pens at $1. Now he's got options and choices. No doubt about it.
What?
Do I understand it logically? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Do I get why some of these unattractive men who can't compete are going abroad? Absolutely. It's always
the men that they don't want, that they complain about. But they don't understand that the men that they want are not looking for women like them. They don't qualify for the man that they want, and they know it, and it pisses them off.
Do I understand? Does it make sense? Absolutely. It makes total logical sense. I understand why. I understand the why, because I watch it walk up and down the street when I go to the Dominican Republic. I look at them and I understand why. Some of them are socially awkward, honey. They don't have social skills. They freeze up when they're around women. I've seen all kinds of brothers walking up and down their street looking for some self-esteem.
It's just because it's just all over the place. Just men freezing up when they around women, especially women like her. They freeze up. They don't know. They just don't know how to just handle themselves. It's just, I see it all the time. I see it all the time. Oh my gosh.
I know about it. I've seen it. I have experience with it. So my answer to you is this. I am only against the idea of prostitution. I'm against the idea of fooling men by taking their money and making them simps abroad. You don't have to be a simp in America.
And here comes the sign language yet again. So when all else fails, all she has left is to shame and guilt trap men. That's it. It's just to shame and guilt trap men because her options are not there anymore. And she knows it. So she's upset. She's really upset.
You don't have to be a simp anywhere. You can find somebody at your level.
Yeah, because if you can't accept me, you a simp.
If you're fat and you're ugly, you can find somebody fat and ugly. But these brothers don't want that. They want to walk around here with an 18-year-old, how you say, perky titty, all of that stuff. That's what they want, but they're not in the ability to compete for them.
Yeah. You can't make this shit up, people.
So I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm going to leave the original link to the video in the description below, so be sure to check it out. Until the next time, peace.